I don't, and maybe things are changing now, but when I was growing up, there wasn't okay, this is how you practice. This is how you open up a new piece of music, and this is how you figure out how to prioritize your time and what to spend your time working on. This is how to work on things. This is how to know when to move on. This is how to know how to set goals, which goals are more important. How do you even fix these things? I mean, these are things that I think would be really valuable, and studies suggest that they are in terms of how rapidly we can learn and grow. But they really aren't things that are formally part of any curriculum,
so
generally speaking.
But when you look at elite players then, do you find that their habits are different in some way? Or let's say we just look across players, do we find that they are actually doing, in some cases, quite different things because no one ever said this is how you're supposed to?
A lot of this, I'm just going to make generalizations. I think a lot of people end up gravitating towards a particular style of practicing just over time. And some of it might even be how we're raised and taught. We tend to measure practice time in units of time, or repetitions, right? Do this 50 times, or get it correct 10 times in a row, or do this for 20 minutes. And over time, I think we just kind of gravitate towards that as a natural way of practicing. The problem, of course, is that it's very easy to zone out when you know that you're aiming for a particular number of repetitions.
You're saying just give me 10 push-ups kind of thing.
Right. And so you're not really thinking about the quality of each push-up or how to make each push-up more effective or more efficient or anything like that. You're just trying to get your 10 out of the way. And
the assumption being that somehow you're just going to get better as a result of doing X number of these things.
Right. I mean, I think we assume that if you just put more hours into it, we'll get better, because I think anyone who's picked up an instrument discovers that when you play something the first time, it doesn't sound so good, doesn't feel so good. Play it the second time, it starts to get a little bit better, and by the 5th or 10th or 15th, 20th, 50th time, it sounds a lot better.
Right. So there's this, in our minds we say, oh, then it's just the number of times that I do it that's causing that.
And then you get to the 50th or 20th repetition, and it sounds pretty good, and you're happy. It's like, oh, I can play this now, right? This is how I can play. And then the next day, you go back to the practice room, and you pick up your instrument, and you try to play it that way the first time. Instead of being here where you left it, you're kind of close to where you were when you started the day before. Maybe it's a little bit better, but not ground zero. So it's like all the way down to step one.
Right.
And I think we just get used to that and accept that is how learning looks. It's just this process of getting better and better and better one day, and then you lose most of it, but hopefully there's still some gain there. And the next day you try to get better, better, better. I think we just accept that, that's how learning looks. As it turns out, there are ways, that's called a performance effect. So the gain in that moment with increasingly closer adjustments to what it is that our target is. Those are performance effects. Learning effects are whatever is remaining on our first shot 24 hours later, 7 days later, a month later. And the way that we tend to practice, which is to just play something, we hear something we don't like, kind of rewind and do it again, and kind of continue to tweak things until it sounds better, but not consciously actually identifying what we're doing differently. So if we can't write down and articulate after we're done what exactly we're doing differently that gives us a different result in very clear, specific terms, we haven't really learned anything that we can replicate the next day.
So you're saying you've made a gain that's real, but you're not storing it properly?
Right. I mean, it's sort of like repeating a phone number over and over in your head. It doesn't mean you're going to remember it tomorrow. It just means that for those 20 seconds or 30 seconds, you're going to be able to remember.
Well, so that's a short-term memory thing.
Right. So the way that we tend to practice tends to get more encoded as short-term memory as opposed to long-term memory.